that on Thursday.
Give us a figure. What would be acceptable?
It's-
What would be acceptable? Because you talked about...
Saeed, we mourn the loss of every civilian life. We don't want to see any civilians killed in this.
What have you done to really minimize that? Remember, Gaza is the size of Washington, D.C. When you tell people to move, like now, and they have nowhere to go, they're striking in Khan Yunis. They're saying, actually, we're hitting every place in Gaza. So where should people go?
People
what
should go.
Be the end?
Saeed, let's take it one question at a time. Before you asked a question, let me answer.
Sure.
People should go to the UN designated sites that are on Israeli lists as deconfliction zones that should not be the target of military campaigns. There are already people who are sheltering in those. As the campaign moves to the south and Israel evacuates specific neighborhoods or orders specific neighborhoods to be evacuated, that is where people should go.
Okay, but we know that they bombed UN facilities and so on. Let me ask you a couple of other questions. You said that Hamas committed atrocities, right? Okay. Do you call the killing of 20,000 Palestinians an atrocity?
So,
Does that befit the term?
Saeed, I was speaking to the intentional murdering of civilians that we saw Hamas commit. I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there is anyone questioning that Hamas intentionally killed civilians. That is by definition an atrocity.
And you don't think that Israel intentionally killed civilians?
We think far too many people. I have not seen evidence that they are intentionally killing civilians. We believe that far too many civilians have been killed. But again, this goes back to the underlying problem of this entire situation, which is that Hamas has embedded itself inside civilians, inside civilian homes, inside mosques, in schools, in churches. It is Hamas that is putting these civilians in harm's way. For all the questions, and I understand why people I stand here and people ask me questions about what Israel should do. I'm happy to take those questions. I'm surprised I don't hear more people saying, why doesn't Hamas lay down its arms? Why doesn't Hamas move out of schools? Why doesn't Hamas take additional steps to protect civilians? Because we think they should, as we think Israel should.
Okay, so you are asking Hamas to surrender. Is that what you're asking?
We would welcome Hamas laying down its arms and surrendering at any point.
Hamas is not an army. They don't have air force. They don't have a navy. They don't have artillery. They have none of these things. They don't really have any kind of regular kind of structure that they can conduct their surrender.
That Saeed, they may not have a navy. No. Let me finish. They may not have an air force. They have sufficient firepower to have killed 1,200 people on October 7th. So don't tell me that Hamas can't lay down their arms and take additional steps to protect civilians, let alone moving out of all the areas that are putting Palestinian civilians in harm's way. They absolutely can. They could do it today if they cared at all about civilian life.
My last question to you, the UN, a former official in the UN, Mr. Mukaiber, said that the most clear-cut case of genocide, the Israeli bombardment and the killing of 20,000 people thus far, is the most clear-cut case of genocide. Do you agree with him?
So the State Department has a rigorous process for evaluating what constitutes genocide, ethnic cleansing, or a crime against humanity. Those are terms we only use with very explicit care. You've seen us be very You've seen us be very deliberate about that in the past. We are monitoring the evolving situations and are examining facts as they develop. It's an extremely challenging space to get all the information that might be available, but we support Israel's right to continue to take action to ensure that Hamas can never conduct terrorist attacks like it did on October 7th again. And as part of that, we urge Israel to take all possible measures to minimize civilian harm. And I've just gone through a number of those measures.
But it doesn't qualify for genocide.
I just answered that. Go ahead.